As we start heading into Nativity season, it's coming. I want you to think about something you've probably never really paused on before. Because the Nativity story, the one we put on cards, the one our kids dress up for, the one with the nice cozy stable, actually begins with something very real, very human, and very relevant today. It begins with a family in crisis. Mary and Joseph weren't at home. They were far from their community. They were travelling because the government ordered them to move. And when they finally reached Bethlehem, exhausted and vulnerable, they were refused shelter. Luke's gospel literally tells us there was no room for them at the inn. These were people seeking safety and being turned away. Sound familiar? The Nativity is not a warm aesthetic story about shepherds and wise men. It's a story about displaced family needing help. A story about compassion denied and we all boo. And then compassion finally given and we all cheer. It's the story of asylum seekers. And it's the story Christianity is built on. Now fast forward to Jesus as an adult. Over and over again, he tells us what it actually means to follow him. Take Matthew 25, for instance. Jesus says, "I was hungry and you gave me food. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. Whatever you did for one of the least of these, you did for me." There are no conditions. He doesn't say, "I was a stranger, so check my passport or papers first." He doesn't say, "Help me only if it's convenient or if your border policy allows it." He says, if someone is vulnerable, you help them. Period. Because when you welcome the stranger, you welcome Christ himself. Then there's the Good Samaritan in Luke 10. Jesus chose a story about crossing boundaries, ethnic, political, religious, to make one point. Your neighbour is anyone who needs your help, even someone you've been taught to fear. The Samaritan isn't the neighbour because he shared a nationality, he's the neighbour because he acted with compassion. And Hebrews 13:2 says, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so you have entertained angels without knowing it." In other words, the moral test of your faith is how you treat people you don't know. This isn't just Jesus. The Old Testament says the same thing. Leviticus 19:34, "The stranger who resides with you shall be to you as the native among you, and you shall love them as yourself." And Deuteronomy 10 says God loves the foreigner and he commands his people to do the same. From beginning to end, the Bible repeats one message. You care for the outsider. You welcome the stranger. You help the vulnerable. Not because it's easy, not because it's convenient, but because it is the heart of the faith. So let's talk about what some people call Christian values today. People saying, close the borders. People saying, we can't help asylum seekers. People saying, these people don't belong here. Let me be absolutely clear. You cannot hold these positions and claim that the Bible supports you. It doesn't at all. Not in the teachings of Jesus, not in the laws of Moses, not in Christian ethics, not anywhere. You can have political arguments, fine. Have economic arguments, fine. But do not call it Christian, because it isn't. Christianity demands compassion. Christianity demands hospitality. Christianity demands sacrifice. It demands that we see the image of God in every person fleeing danger, persecution, or hunger. If your Christianity stops at your border, it isn't Christianity. It's nationalism dressed up in religious language. So this Christmas, while we set up our little nativity scenes with Mary and Joseph quietly sitting in a warm stable, remember, That is not a cozy story. This is a story of a rejected family finally being shown mercy. It is a story about people offering shelter to strangers. And if we ignore that message, if we turn our backs on asylum seekers today, then we are turning our backs on the very people the Nativity asks us to see. Christianity began with a family seeking help. It grew through a teacher who commanded his followers to welcome the stranger. And today, it calls on people to do the same. So let's tell the truth plainly. If we refuse compassion to those who need it, if we reject the stranger, the refugee, the asylum seeker, then we are rejecting Christ's teachings. We are rejecting the Bible. And we are rejecting the core of what it means to be a Christian. You don't get to turn people away and call that Christianity, because Christianity started with an asylum seeking family, and the faith has always belonged to those who open the door, not those who shut it.